I'm gonna give you a little backstory on how I come to be doing a review on a Powerbrick. I've ever since I hit about 700-800 subscribers, yeah, even with subscriber counts that low, you start seeing this, especially if you put your email in your description. You have companies that search your descriptions apparently for email addresses, and they'll start sending you these emails. And they started out with, we have good product that work well, and you know, it's really poorly worded English, and you can tell they're probably running their native language through Google Translate to generate the letter and then sending it on to me. It's what you could tell. Typically they've got some kind of pseudo scam. It's not a scam, but it is, in that they offer you this awesome product, but then they tell you that, bottom of the hour, they tell you that to make it easier to get the product in your hand, just go on Amazon and buy it, and they'll send you a link to the product. Once you publish the review and they approve your review, then they'll reimburse you for it. You know, and it's kind of a money back guarantee, I guess you might say. What they don't realize is that you can send it back to Amazon and get your money back anyway. It was kind of a way to get you to go ahead and buy it, and I guess people are desperate for content, so they get people that'll actually do this. My normal response to them was, if you'll send me a piece of product, I'm going to use it as if I had bought it, and I'm going to make the video good or bad, however it performs, but you're not taking control of my channel for a few dollars. If you want to send me product, you better believe in it, because I'm going to test it and I'm going to see if it works. Most of them, that's the last I hear of them, until these people sent me an email, same thing, same story, gave them the same response. I always write them back just to be courteous. I always write them back because this is some poor sales rep who gets tasked with reaching out to these cold calls. I've been there, because our business has cold calls, and I've done that job, and it's not fun sometimes, especially some of the responses you get are less than polite. So I always write them back, and I typically write them back with something polite but firm. You know, I'm not gonna sacrifice my ethics on my channel just for a few dollars for a piece of free product. So that's the end. Well, these people wrote me back again, and they said, give us the address that you want the product sent to. Well, I sent them the machine shop address. A few days later, it shows up. I initially opened it, and in the box was a Powerbrick and a little fancy pouch, the power cord to charge it with, a little bookmark with a QR code for more information. They had a little card that says, you know, was you happy with your purchase or not? It was all this stuff in the box, really, really well presented. The fit and finish on this little Powerbrick is really nice. I mean, it's really, really well made. The joint on this is smooth. Typically, you'll see flash from the molds on the cheaper models. This thing retails on Amazon for like $20. It's not very expensive. The cord's nice. Everything about it's really well made. They give you this universal cord. It's USB-C to USB-C, and then they give you a regular USB adapter onto it so you can plug it in. Now, if you're going to charge your iPhone, you got to put your cable in it. It's fairly heavy, which I'm hoping that one of the batteries in it is an actual battery and not a weight. That's been a common thing you see on a lot of videos where people crack these open, is a lot of times it'll be one battery, and then one will be just a weight to make it heavy, so you think you've got a bunch of batteries. But from what I seen last night, I charged this camera that I'm talking to right now completely up, and it was right out of the box. I hadn't even topped it off yet. It showed 3 bars, plugged it into the GoPro, charged it completely. It was dead. That's why I plugged it in. It completely charged it in like 35 or 40 minutes. It topped it off. So I plugged it in last night, charged it all the way up, and we're gonna start experimenting with it and see how good it works. All right, what I've done is I went and got a USB hub. This one actually has card readers built into it, but it's a hub nonetheless. And I've plugged in, I've got me a USB voltage meter, and I've hooked it between the power pack and the hub. And then I've got a dead GoPro, and I ran down my Lume Cube So I've got both of them plugged into it, and it's been running for 49 minutes non-stop at 1 amp of output, 4.92 volts. It just dropped a 100th of a volt. It went back up. It's holding very strong at 1 amp of discharge. It's 857 milliamp hours so far, and it still shows 4 dots of energy level in the brick. So it's actually doing really well. It went into warning at 5,157 milliamp hours. It's actually blinking now to give us, but it's still holding 4.9 volts at 1.5 amps. And it's at 5,174 counting. Okay, we're 3 hours and 30 minutes in. It's still holding 4.9 volts, a full 1.5 amp output into a 3 ohm power resistor as a dummy load just to drain it. It's in warning. It's been flashing for about 5 minutes now, and it's at 5,270 milliamp hours. Okay, this basically means it's time to recharge it, but we've got a little bit of life left in it. It's a far cry from the 10,000 that they're claiming, but it works really well for a 5,000 milliamp hour battery pack. This has kind of been an interesting little journey actually to evaluate a piece of equipment based on its performance solely, because I normally am pretty subjective in my evaluations, and looking at this objectively, not because I got one in the mail and didn't have to pay for it or whatever, but just being able to do any sort of test I wanted. I could have pried it open. I thought about doing that on camera, just crack it open and see what's on the inside, but I pretty well know there's a couple of those batteries, and there's a little circuit board in the front here that shows has a charger, and then it has a discharger. Now, there's a few things about this that you need to know. The USB-C port is to charge the unit only. The USB-A port is to discharge the unit only. It will only allow one-way direction with charge and discharge. It doesn't give you the ability to USB-C out as well. I thought maybe you could, but for whatever reason, I couldn't get it to USB-C out at all. It had to come out of the USB-A. And I'm assuming that's why it has this dual capability cord, was because the USB-C port is charging, you take the adapter off and allows you to charge it, and then you put the adapter on, it allows you to discharge it. And it says it's 2.1 amp max output, and I had a 3 ohm 100 watt power resistor that I honestly don't know where I come up with it. I've had it for years. It was just in a box. I was rooting around hunting for some kind of a resistive load to test this with, and actually turned that up. I was looking for seriously a 10 or a 20 watt 2.5 ohm or 2 ohm 2.75 ohm resistive load, which would give me about 2 amps out. I think it was 2.5 ohms. Well, that was 3, and it showed on the meter to be 3.24, and that give me right at 1.5 amps output at 5 volts. And it was able to maintain that 1.5 amps for several hours. I was shocked at how long it could hold that current draw. It was very impressive. That 100 watt resistor would get hot to the touch, dissipating I think about 5 volts, 7.5 watts. I did the test 3 times, and all 3 times it dropped out. And the way the little meter's made is once it hits that threshold and shuts this off, it shuts off my meter too. So I had to kind of pay attention. The first time I did it, I don't count that one because it just shut off and I didn't realize it, so I didn't have a number, so I did 3 more tests. And all 3 of them shut off a little over 5,500 milliamp hours, which is a little over half of what they advertise this thing to actually be. Now, it works perfect. Like, you can charge an iPhone 2 full charges, and then I charged up my Loom Cube somewhat. That ran it down. So, you know, you can charge your iPhone a couple of times with it, and it'll do you well. and it's robustly made. It's really well manufactured. It's got everything you would want from a Powerbrick. It just, I wish it had an adapter to allow you to tie it to an iPhone. The way they give you the outputs, you don't have the option to hooking it to an Apple product out of the box. You know, they threw in a USB-C to USB-A adapter, but no iPhone Lightning adapter. You know, that's petty, but that was the only thing I could really come up with. With that, I kind of recommend this. It's not a bad piece of equipment. And like I said, they're on Amazon. So I searched it on Amazon and found it pretty quick. They're not bad made. It's well done. So with that, this is David, the Georgia photographer, and I appreciate you watching. And if I haven't told you already, like the video if you did, subscribe to the channel if you got the inkling to see more of my content, and until next time, get your camera out. Go take a picture with it, all right? I'll see you later.